Step into the glittering but dangerous world of Henry VIII's court, where two sisters rose to dazzling heights and faced a tragic fall. Who were the Boleyn sisters? In the early 1500s, England was a land of pageantry and peril. The year is 1503. The Tudor dynasty was firmly established, and King Henry VIII, although childless at this point, appeared destined to rule for many years to come. That is until two sisters named Anne and Mary Boleyn turned the course of history forever. They were the daughters of an ambitious family, the Boleyns, who hoped to rise in status and power by getting close to the royal court. But what neither sister knew was that their fates were intertwined with the destiny of England itself. Mary Boleyn, the king's mistress. First to arrive at court was Mary. At the age of 17, she became one of the ladies in waiting to Queen Catherine of Aragon, wife of Henry VIII. It wasn't long before she caught the eye of the king. Around 1526, he began having a relationship with her. So it seemed as though Mary would be another one of the king's mistresses who would eventually fade away. However, Mary's time in the limelight was brief, lasting only a couple of years. And the reason behind its brevity is likely due to rumors circulating at court, which suggested that Mary had been unfaithful to Henry. Allegedly, she had engaged in a relationship with Charles Brandon, Duke of Suffolk, and even bore his child. Interestingly, it is believed that Mary may have had at least one child during her relationship with the king. This child, a boy, was named Henry Carey, and it is strongly suspected that he was indeed the king's son. There was even speculation that Mary gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, although the whereabouts of any potential second child remain unknown. Despite these alleged infidelities, Henry continued his relationship with Mary until around 1527, when his attention shifted to her older sister, Anne Boleyn's ambition. Anne returned to England from France in 1525 after spending 7 years in the French court. During her time there, she learned the ways of diplomacy and cultivated a sharp intellect and captivating charm. These qualities made her stand out among the ranks of Henry's mistresses, and soon his obsession grew, eclipsing even his previous interest in Mary. While Mary was willing to accept the role of mistress, Anne harbored loftier ambitions. She desired to be queen. Anne was clever and played the game of court politics well. She used her wit and intelligence to charm the king and manipulate those around him. Unlike her sister, she didn't settle for being just another one of the king's mistresses. Instead, she bided her time, patiently waiting for the chance to ascend to the throne. The king's great matter. The path to Anne's goal was paved with challenges, including the formidable figure of Catherine of Aragon, Henry's wife of 24 years. However, Henry's desire for a son to secure the Tudor dynasty was a driving force. The king had long been preoccupied with an annulment from Catherine because she had only produced one surviving child, a daughter named Mary. With Catherine unwilling to give up the title of queen, Anne cleverly maneuvered to become the monarch. Her influence over Henry was profound, comparable to that held by influential advisors like Thomas Wolsey. Anne skillfully navigated the intricacies of the court, knowing exactly when to speak and when to listen. She expertly garnered support from key figures such as the Duke of Norfolk, who secretly backed her claim for the throne. Anne's determination was unwavering. She rejected offers of marriage from other noblemen because her sights were set on the crown. She famously declared, "I will not be a star to every man's hand. I will be a queen or none." To achieve her goal, Anne encouraged Henry to take drastic measures, including breaking away from the Catholic Church and establishing himself as the supreme head of the Church of England. This monumental decision not only paved the way for their marriage, but also marked a pivotal moment in England's history, setting the stage for the country's Reformation, Anne's rise and coronation. Finally, in January 1533, Anne and Henry were married in secret. Soon after, Catherine was officially out of the picture, and Anne took her place as Queen of England. On June 1st, 1533, she was crowned Queen of England at a ceremony held at Whitehall. As the new queen, she remained influential in matters of state, shaping policies and advising the king. Yet her position was far from secure. Her failure to bear a male heir led to growing discontent, especially among those loyal to Catherine, like the aging Duke of Norfolk, who still held a grudge against Anne for the downfall of his former mistress. Despite giving birth to a healthy daughter, the future Queen Elizabeth I, Anne's inability to produce a son put her in a precarious position. With Henry's obsession on securing a male heir, Anne's rivals saw this as an opportunity to regain power. They conspired, spreading rumors about her, accusing her of infidelity and casting doubts on whether she could truly love the king. By 1536, with no sign of a male heir, the plot against Anne was reaching its climax: sisterly rivalry and court intrigue. Meanwhile, Mary had fallen out of favor at court. Once the king's attention shifted to Anne, Mary's importance diminished. In 1531, she secretly married a courtier named William Stafford and gave birth to a son, Henry Carey. However, this added to her disgrace rather than saving her reputation. Her marriage was kept a secret for fear of angering Anne, who disapproved of Mary's choices. Mary spent much of her time away from court, living in relative obscurity. As the drama unfolded, whispers swirled around the sisters' relationship. Some said they were once close, while others claimed they were envious of each other's success. Rumors suggested that Mary sent secret letters to Anne, either begging for forgiveness or expressing jealousy. The truth of their relationship remains a mystery, lost to the annals of history. Anne's enemies. Anne's position as queen was tenuous at best. While she had triumphed over Catherine and secured her place on the throne, she now faced a different set of adversaries. One of her most vocal critics was Chapais, the imperial ambassador to England. He was a staunch supporter of Catherine and viewed Anne's rise to power as an injustice. Chapais tirelessly lobbied against Anne, using his influence to spread rumors and paint her in a negative light. Another of Anne's enemies was Lady Bryan, a lady-in-waiting to Queen Anne. Bryan had previously enjoyed the favor of both Henry and Catherine and felt displaced by Anne's arrival. She saw the new queen's influence as a threat to her own position at court and actively worked to undermine Anne's authority. Bryan's efforts reached such a level that she was eventually banished from Anne's household. However, her opposition to the new queen did not cease. Bryan continued to plot against Anne, finding common cause with those who resented Anne's rise to power. One of the most shocking accusations leveled against Anne was the allegation that she had engaged in adultery with her own brother, George Boleyn. This scandalous claim was made by Chapais, who aimed to tarnish Anne's reputation and destabilize her position as queen. The idea of a queen engaging in such a grave sin was enough to send shockwaves through the court and the public alike. To bolster his case, Chapais accused George of having fathered a child with Anne, further compounding the gravity of their alleged crimes. These accusations not only threatened Anne's standing as queen, but also implicated her brother in a heinous crime, downfall. By May 1536, with no male heir and a series of false accusations swirling around her, Anne's position was in jeopardy. On May 2nd, she was arrested along with her brother and 5 courtiers on charges of adultery, incest, and treason. The evidence against them was fabricated, based on coerced confessions extracted through torture. Within weeks, they were found guilty. George was executed on May 17th, and Anne followed him to the execution block on May 19th. She faced her death with dignity, declaring, "The lady is ready," as she entered the courtyard of the Tower of London. Her head was cut off and displayed from the London Bridge, as a warning to others who might dare to defy the king. The tragic end of Anne Boleyn shocked the court and left a lasting impact on England's social and political landscape. Mary's fate, After Anne's execution, Henry married one of Anne's ladies-in-waiting, Catherine Howard. However, Catherine's involvement in Anne's downfall was revealed, and she was sent to the Tower of London. Mary, despite her own past mistakes, was spared. She lived quietly for the rest of her life, never again rising to prominence at court. She outlived both her sister and her parents, dying in 1543 or 1547. Legacy of the Boleyn sisters. Mary's story ended quietly, overshadowed by the scandal that had marked her earlier life. She faded from the spotlight, leaving behind the tumultuous events that had shaped her fate. Yet the story of the Boleyn sisters did not end with Mary's demise. Anne's daughter, Elizabeth I, went on to become one of England's greatest monarchs, leaving an enduring legacy that spanned across continents. As we reflect on the lives of Anne and Mary, we are reminded of the immense impact they had on history. Their story serves as a cautionary tale of ambition, highlighting the risks and consequences of seeking power in a treacherous court. Moreover, it underscores the human cost of such pursuits, showcasing how even those who reach great heights can be brought down by envy, jealousy, and the relentless pursuit of absolute power. The Boleyn sisters changed history, but at a terrible cost. Their story reminds us how high ambition can soar, but also how hard the fall can be.